This week, male performance artist Dylan Mulvaney celebrated his day 365 of womanhood. Actually, I need to correct myself. He calls it girlhood, not womanhood, because this grown adult man is very specifically imitating an adolescent girl. It was day 365 of girlhood, then, to be precise. And I guess I need to correct myself again, because it was actually day 0 of girlhood. He has experienced precisely 0 days of being a girl or a woman. A year from now, he'll still be sitting at 0 days. Another year after that, still 0 days. A year after that, 0 days. And when he dies, he will leave this earth a man with 0 days spent being anything other than a man. And when archaeologists dig up his bones centuries from now, they will know that they are the bones of a man. They won't know the preferred pronouns of the bones. They won't know anything about the bones except that they belong to a human male. When everything else is forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, and everything else will be forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, the only fact that will remain is the one fact he wants us to forget. So, with those caveats, we turn to Mulvaney's Day 365 celebration at the Rockefeller Center. Commemoration really began a day before when Mulvaney appeared on Drew Barrymore's talk show and sat there with a pleased expression on his face when Barrymore literally knelt at his feet and paid tribute to the trans deity. He went from there to the red carpet and an even more adoring crowd. His Day 365 included celebrity guests and big musical numbers. He pranced around on stage and he basked in the applause of an adoring crowd who had all come out to congratulate him for pretending to be a girl for the past year. A fawning article in Rolling Stone tells us that Mulvaney spent a week rehearsing his Day 365 performance. It also tells us that he started developing the concept 6 months ago, which means that Mulvaney had only been, quote unquote, transitioning into a, quote unquote, girl for 6 months when he decided that his transition needed to be celebrated with a star-studded gala in New York. But not everyone who starred in the show chose to be a part of it. In fact, as it turns out, I made a cameo appearance along with the entire rest of the Daily Wire crew. Because every good show needs a villain, and that was our role to play. Watch.
Things are going really well. Like, I just had my first dance as a girl, and I can pay my bills, and I'm building up a following, and I feel supported, and you know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's Google my name.
Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman-face minstrel show routine. He is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it, and he doesn't care. If that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest.
Documenting his creepy, fetishized version of what it means to be a girl.
Well, Dylan Mulvaney has had some surgery to make his face look more like Bruce Jenner's. Dylan Mulvaney has just given the best proof yet that transgenderism broadly, or at very least the type of transgenderism that he suffers from, is a sexual fetish.
I just want to stop it there just for a second and say that this comment from Michael Knowles is way beyond the pale. I mean, how could you accuse this man of engaging in a sexual fetish? Is it because he has recorded videos singing about his penis bulge?
Normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge. Women can have bulges and that's okay. We're not going to stare at their crotches while they're wearing their little shopping shorts at the mall. Oh, thank you. Love you. Bye.
Okay, well, I guess that is pretty good evidence that this is a sexual fetish on second thought. All right, so let's go back to the video then.
Dylan is not a woman. Dylan is playing a caricature of a woman.
That one can say he is a woman and become one of the most influential women in America in just 6 months of wearing dresses and ironing his hair. The patriarchy always wins, gang.
Oh, and there is Dylan Mulvaney as Audrey Hepburn. The difference being that Audrey Hepburn was an actual woman with a vagina.
Okay, now what in the right-wing house?
Who put this hateful mess on up in here?
I did. I showed it.
What? Why would you give them even a second of your big day?
Well, these are the people I have to deal with on a regular basis, so I thought I should include them in the evening.
But that doesn't mean you have to listen to them.
Well, I've always loved a little constructive criticism.
Baby, there's nothing constructive about that.
And it's not just criticism, it's indoctrination. Trans and non-binary people have been around for thousands of years.
We have to pause it there again because, of course, that's total nonsense. Everything in the video is nonsense. But this always deserves special mention. Billions of human beings lived on this planet for thousands of years. Civilizations rose and fell without anyone inventing anything that even vaguely resembled the modern notion of trans and non-binary. It didn't exist anywhere at all until a group of weirdo psychologists and sexologists in the mid-20th century made it all up. That's the actual history correctly told.
My love, they want to silence us. They want to silence us and keep us in the matrix.
Well, I think we've established that I really like to talk, so I don't think they're going to have the best luck silencing me. Truthfully, I don't know what their goal is, but I do know how they make me feel now that I've built up a thicker skin. It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you want to hear about the deal I'm making? My response going forward, it's not over-explaining myself. It's not pleading. It's not expecting kindness from someone who has no kindness to give. My response is in the next joyous video that I make. That's my response. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Can we pause there? I'm gonna say something that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship with God, and I don't think that he made a mistake with me. And that maybe one day I will actually be grateful for being trans. That this isn't some curse, but it's just a different path to the same destination. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could.
I'm sorry to cut that off because it's really quite powerful. Powerful for a few reasons. One, it proves that somebody can hit all the notes and still sound terrible. And also, it proves all of the points that we have been trying to make about this man. After all, our entire criticism of Mulvaney is that he is not a woman, but rather a performer wearing womanhood as a costume. His idea of womanhood is what he learned from Disney cartoons. And how exactly does he respond to that charge? Well, by dressing up as a Disney princess and dancing around on stage and delivering a tearful monologue while singing, exactly as a Disney princess would. A monologue that, by his own admission, he has been rehearsing for a week as part of a performance he had planned 6 months ago, so his tears are then about as authentic as everything else about him, which is to say they are utterly contrived and staged, just more emotional manipulation meant to shut down valid criticism. I mean, imagine a man, in blackface singing a self-pitying song about how his heart breaks whenever someone tells him that his costume is offensive to black people. There is no difference here. Mulvaney pretends that he doesn't understand the criticism. That's because the trans agenda runs exclusively on falsehoods, bad faith, and emotional blackmail, and Mulvaney exemplifies all three. He puts on a cartoonish performance of womanhood that is as degrading and absurd as possible. He monetizes the performance, he amplifies it through every platform available, and then when the criticism rightly comes his way, he acts like he's just some random person trying to live his private life in peace. Speaking of his critics, he says that he doesn't know what our goals are. Now, I think he does. But for the moment, I'll allow for the possibility that he's as stupid and oblivious as he wants us to think he is, and so I will explain. Our goal is to defend reality, and it really is not any more complicated than that. And here's one reality. No real woman will ever get a red carpet extravaganza at the Rockefeller Center to congratulate her for simply existing. Okay? No real woman's going to get that for actually being a woman for a year. That's the kind of spectacle only reserved for Dylan Mulvaney, a privilege enjoyed by him and people like him. Why is that a problem? Well, for a lot of reasons, but I can illustrate one of the reasons with maybe a brief story. So I think about when our most recent set of twins were born. And I'll never forget the moment. Of course, 2 months ago, standing in the delivery room, first baby born successfully, no problems. But then the situation turns dire with the second. The doctor, unable to safely deliver because of a prolapsed umbilical cord, has to make a split-second decision to perform an emergency C-section. There's a lot of blood. I'd never been in the room for any kind of operation before. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I was expecting all that, the blood. And then there was my wife, laying there calm, but shivering at several points on the verge of passing out. The only thing I could do was hold her hand and tell her the babies are okay and everything's going to be fine. And I did tell her that, even though for a period of several minutes, I wasn't sure if it was actually true. But everything was fine in the end. And my wife has now taken on the task of caring for these 2 infants, along with 4 other children, with incredible grace and joy. And I'm not surprised to see her meet the challenge that way. She's a remarkable woman. I've always known that. That's why I married her. And yet, there will never be an event at the Rockefeller Center to celebrate my wife's womanhood, okay? She's not going to have any adoring crowds flocking to bask in her presence and applaud her and fawn over her for being a woman. She knows more about being a woman than Dylan Mulvaney will ever know or could ever know. She's experienced womanhood at the deepest level. She bears its scars, literally. She carries its burdens. She knows its blessings. She's a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister. She's all the things that Mulvaney and his ilk have never been and can never understand. And yet he is put on the stage with the spotlight and the corporate sponsorships. He is celebrated for being what he isn't. It's like giving the Medal of Honor to some dude who played Call of Duty in his basement. Now, it's not that my wife would want all of this fanfare. She's not a raging narcissist like Dylan Mulvaney. The point is simply that by elevating and celebrating these fake cartoon faux women, our society has emptied womanhood of everything that's truly beautiful and meaningful and important about it. And if there's any solace to women, they aren't alone in this boat, far from it. The same has happened with manhood. The same has happened with everything. All that is good and true is hollowed out and made artificial and absurd and ugly. It's funny that one of Dylan's cohorts on stage there says that we, his critics, want to keep them in the matrix. Now, as always, the truth is exactly the other way around. Gender ideology is the matrix. What you just saw there on the screen, that's the matrix. It's, I'm sad to say, it's not nearly as cool as the movie version. But that's our version of the matrix, what you just saw. It is a fake alternate universe. It is an artificial projection meant to obscure reality. And we are urged to play along so as not to ruin the illusion. But we, some of us anyway, are tired of illusions. We are tired of the artificial. We are tired of imitations. We want reality. If we're going to celebrate womanhood, then we're going to celebrate the real thing. And that is not you, Dylan. And it never will be. And that'll do it for the show today. As we move over to the members block, if you want to join us for that, you can become a member and use code Walsh at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.